Hi all, welcome everyone to yet another session of Enlight's Toppers Answer Analysis. Today we will be discussing last year's topper Archit Dongre's social justice paper. He had secured All India rank 3 in the Civil Service Examination 2024. Okay, as you all know, social justice comes under the GS2 of the Civil Service Examination, and while discussing about the answer writing, it's an art, as you all know. So it's a very crucial part in the Civil Service Examination because the mains answer writing or the mains examination will decide your ultimate fate in the Civil Service rank list. That it will make sure that, or it will decide that whether you will be included in the list or not. So that is a very crucial phase, and it's an art. And once you master that art, it will be very quite easy to maneuver it, because you may have seen that many aspirants who had once cleared the mains examination was able to repeat it, that to clear the mains in the second or in the third attempt, their repeated attempts. So like that, it's an art, and it's some certain strategies are needed to master that, and we will certainly discuss that too. Okay, so this is Archit's paper, social justice. We will be discussing the questions on social justice. Okay, so the first question is regarding women protection mechanisms, the effectiveness of women protection mechanisms. And the question is about this harrowing surge in crimes against women in India, especially in their workplaces. In this slide, critically analyze the effectiveness of India's women protection mechanisms and suggest reforms in this regard. Okay, so any answer, any civil service examination and answer, mains answer, there are two main important factors to be considered, or two deciding factors. That's the first one is the understanding the core of the concept, core idea. What is the core idea of the question? Then only you can directly hit the answer of the core of the question. So you have to understand the core idea of the question. And second one is regarding, obviously, its structuring of the answer as well as its presentation. Okay. So these two things you should keep in mind, and you have to master these to properly present an answer. And we will see how Archit has presented his answer so as to fetch maximum marks. Okay. Okay, here what is the core idea of this question? This is about the effectiveness of India's women protection mechanisms. So you have to give an analysis of India's women protection mechanisms. So keep one thing in mind, that is, in order to give an authentic feel of your answer, you need to include certain data in that answer, especially in the questions regarding the science and technology as well as in the social justice. You can bring so many diagrams as well as facts and figures in the economy. So certainly these data will help you to authenticate your answer, or to help or to make the examiner more convincing about your answer. That is a crucial thing. And here also Archit has properly brought some facts and figures in the intro itself, and he had directly hit the question in the intro itself. He made a statement that according to the NCRB reports, 37% of the women have experienced sexual harassment, and only 18% of crimes against women are being crimes are being reported. So in the first intro itself, he was able to bring a fact regarding the increasing the surge in women, the crimes against women, as well as he was able to give a glimpse about the women protection mechanisms, the issues with the India's women protection mechanism. So in the very first intro itself, the examiner will be very much clear about the intentions, or the examiner will be very clear that the answer, the candidate has a very good awareness about the question. Okay, so that's a crucial part. So here we have told the effectiveness of the India's women protection mechanisms, the core idea, and then how we will structure it or present it. That's the second part. Okay, here as any question there we need to give an intro, and Archit has given a proper intro on that. Then the first part will be you have to mention the India's some women protection. What are the India's women protection mechanisms, and you have to bring the effectiveness of the mechanism. So how far they were able to protect the women, and how far they were able to arrest the crime, increasing crime against the women. So that is the first part, and the second part is regarding the reforms that needed to improve the situation of the women, how to decrease the crime rates against the women, how to have a safe place for women in the country. So what are those suggestions? So here, that is the proper structure of this question. Here you can see that the first core part, that he had given the mechanisms for protection of women at workplace. That is the POSH Act, that is the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Against Women at Workplace Act. That is a very crucial act against the increasing crimes against the women, and the Vishaka guidelines both are same, know the issue, and the SHE box, the complaint box, and the company level policies, as well as the relevant provisions of the IPC, or you may refer to the BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. So these are the major mechanisms that are available in the country for protecting the women, that is the protecting women from various crimes. Okay. So he was able to rightly point out these things, and you should see that he had the legibility of the answer. That is a crucial thing. Whatever knowledge you have, you should be able to present that legibly and properly. So to make the job of the examiner, those who evaluate, easier. That is a crucial thing. Whatever knowledge you have, but if you are unable to present it properly in the answer paper, so that you are making it difficult for your examiner to value, then there is no point in that. You may not be able to fetch good marks for that. So along with the content, you have to present it legibly and properly. There should be a sufficient amount of legibility in your answers. And here an examiner can easily look on to the POSH guidelines, as well as the other IPC sections, etc. And for the content part, you may add some certain sections in the BNS, section 63 or 73 or 74 regarding the women protection. That's up to you, that you can add those things. But at the time of the writing, you may not be able to recollect all those facts. That's normal for any aspirant. Okay, so first bringing this protection mechanisms, then moving on to, so here the second part, that the effectiveness of women protection mechanisms. Here actually here bring the points such as the ICC internal complaints committees and the local committees as mandated by the POSH Act. And he had added those criticisms like the POSH guidelines are not being properly not implemented, and they are not properly functioning educatedly, and the conflict of interest within the organization regarding this implementation of ICC, etc. So that points are being implemented. But and the second page, you can see that these are the criticisms of this women protection mechanisms, like the position of women and the issues with the patriarchy that we often quote in every answer regarding the women. Then the specific criteria regarding the time limit that is mentioned in the Posh Act. And basically here Archit has more focused on the providing the issues associated with the women protection mechanisms. But obviously in this answer you can add some positives also, definitely you have to add some positives to improve the answer. That is, you can bring the constitution of ICC by various committees, the increase in reporting of the crimes against women under the internal complaints committees. Okay, so all those things you can bring in, and the BNS provisions has been enacted, and the rise in the reporting among the workplaces as well as in the social forum. So all those things you can bring as a positive step. And that is the success of those initiatives, and the more women are getting aware about these mechanisms. And also you can bring other legislations also, like the Dowry Prohibition Act, etc. These are also crucial, even though not in the workplace but in the home. You can bring such points also. You need not be very pinpoint, you need not be very focused on providing the exact points, because you have to, it's a mains answer, and the examiner should have a look on that in an elaborate broad view. Okay, you have to prioritize the point. That's a crucial thing. Prioritizing, that is the bringing the first, the POSH, the Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act, POSH Act in the first place. That is the first thing you have to do. There is no compromise on that. That's the POSH is the crucial aspect, and that should be in their key, and they will be looking for POSH, that is sure. But below that you can bring the BNS as well as the Dowry Prohibition Act and other relevant provisions that are associated with the women protection in India. Okay, so bring some positives of those, and then come to the negatives or the issues with the women protection mechanisms. So the normal issues associated with the women mechanism, that they are not gender neutral at all, and you can also give some examples in that too, because examples also authenticate your viewpoints. No. And such points have to be given, and then coming to the second part, or the third part, third part. Sorry, that is the reform suggested. Okay. So this is the third major part, that is the reform suggested in this. So what are the reforms you can bring to enhance or improve the situation of the women protection mechanisms, or to improve the efficacy of those mechanisms? Okay, so you can bring some committee recommendations, you can bring the issues you can bring in the counterpoints for improving the POSH Act itself. There are so many suggestions to improvise or to improve the implementation of the POSH Act, like the POSH Act generally does not address the women in the informal sector, so that is a major drawback. And it is not the complaints made before the ICC are not legally they cannot be legally carried forward to the BNS. They are not linked to the BNS. So there are many recommendations like linking the POSH Act provisions and to the complaints made under the Indian Complaints Committee to the BNS provisions, as well as bringing the informal sector under the provisions of the POSH Act. Such things you can bring here. And also here, look, the awareness campaigns, that is a very major crucial thing, and the global mechanisms also he had mentioned here. Then social media campaigning, that is a crucial point also, that is to improve the awareness, because there are many mechanisms here, but often these are not aware to the women, the country, and social media is a great tool to spread such news. And innovative mechanisms have been mentioned here, that the she-work mechanisms are mentioned by him here. And the counseling, that's the psychological supports for the victims facing harassment at workplace. Then the use of technology, and obviously you have to bring these apps like Himmat app, etc. The Ping initiative by Kerala government, that's also, there is a Ping policing system in the Kerala government, and so you can mention such examples so that the examiner can directly relate this with the contemporary developments. Okay, most of these examples, if you were able to bring such general points that is common in news, then the examiner may be able to directly relate your answer with the current development, and that will help you to fetch good marks. Okay. Then orientation session and code of conduct for the private workplaces. And because most of this, even though the act is in place, there is a laxity on the part of many to implement the provisions of the POSH Act, especially the constitution of the internal complaints committees. So such things, so there is a need of proper auditing mechanisms. So that is properly mentioned by him. And the ESG, environmental sustainability governance norms, he had pointed out the incorporating the women's safety part of the ESG norms. That's also a very good point here. So such reform measures have been properly mentioned by Archit. So like that, so whatever points he had written here is often relatable to the general public, as well as so to the that maybe also will be in the key also. That is, for a person who is looking for answers to such a question, will often find it very relatable to the core of the question. So that way he was able to present the answer in a limited time. Then time is a very great constraint while presenting you the time. You have only a very limited, this is a 15 marker question, and you will get a maximum of 8 or 9 minutes here. So you have to present all this in a time frame, and at that time you may not be able to recollect all the points that are related to this question. You may be surprised that, oh, I have left such points in there. There is no need to worry about such things, because whatever you know, you have to present it in there. So and at that time, the time is a very great constraint here there, and whatever points that comes to your mind, you freely put it here. Actually, you have learned all those things, and you will be very prepared to answer such general questions. And the social justice part, there are certain themes in the social justice syllabus itself. While if you go through the social justice syllabus and the previous year questions, you may find that there are a certain area, certain themes, at least maybe 15 or 20 themes are maximum in the social justice. And if you are able to go through all the main syllabus and the previous questions, you can pinpoint to this around 15 to 20 topics that you have to focus. Okay, and questions may come from the current affairs part too. The last year you may find that there's a question regarding the public examination board, and most people very find it difficult to answer that. It was a very direct question, and you may wonder how you will develop content for such a question, because that is regarding that act was enacted just after the NEET controversy and the Public Examination Board Act, and so it was directly asked from that. So that is a current affairs question. And another two questions was regarding, one was regarding the poverty and malnutrition. That is a very common theme in the social justice, poverty and malnutrition. And another one was regarding public health. So, and that is also a current relevant question. So such questions, the questions you can expect almost the range of questions. Only one in around 3 to 4 questions will be asked from the social justice, and 10 marks and 15 marks. And in most of the cases, in the 2 to 3 questions, you will directly get from what you have studied based on this 15 to 20 themes in the social justice. Okay. The same is also the case with the other topics also, internal security, etc., as well as the governance. So in all those topics, you can pinpoint to certain areas. So you don't need to wander so much as like in the polity or in the economy. Okay. So here, and this is a conclusion. So it's a fundamental duty. We must ensure the safety and security of our women in the workplace and give them opportunity to learn and grow. So he had conclude with the constitutional provision also, and you know that in the social justice census you have to bring the constitutional provisions in here also. In the protection mechanisms you can bring some constitutional provisions like the Article 23, that is the prohibition of human trafficking. That's a crucial stage, that's in the constitution itself, and you can bring that point in the protection mechanism. Definitely you have, if there is certain constitutional provisions, you have to bring that, the constitutional mechanisms or constitutional provisions you have to bring, especially regarding the protection of vulnerable sections, and then the other statutory or legal mechanisms and the other schemes and initiatives. So that should be the order to protect, to bring those initiatives. Okay, so here he had mentioned about the fundamental duty. So that's a very good step to conclude that answer. Okay, so this is all about the first question, and we will move on to the second one. The second question, this is all about the child sexual abuse material. There's a production, distribution and consumption of child sexual abuse material, CSAM, is one of the terrible forms of sexual abuse and exploitation faced by children and consequently a grave violation of their human rights. In this context, analyze the reasons for increase in the proliferation of CSAM and bring about the various mechanisms available to address this heinous crime. Okay. So what is the core idea of this question? Basically this CSAM, that is a core theme, and the production, distribution and consumption of the CSAM, and then you have to hear how you have to present how it become a grave violation of their human rights, then how this proliferation and distribution of CSAM will become a grave violation of the human rights of the victims, as well as then you have to point out the reasons for increase in the proliferation and various mechanisms. So we can say that there is a small first part, then as a second and third, three parts are available here, and you can also bring a way forward also. So first one, you have to mention to substantiate the first statement in the question, that is the first part, and this is regarding the grave violation of human rights, and second part is regarding the reasons. Okay, and the third part is regarding the mechanisms. What are the mechanisms are available to address this proliferation? Okay, so here, so the intro, you have to bring an intro, and here Archit has rightly brought about an intro regarding and relating with the Indian Penal Code, and now it's BNS, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. You can also quote the BNS here, and so the relating the CSAM with the that's how it becomes a criminal offence, or it's a criminal offence by stating it that it's clear. Then here he had brought the some of the facts regarding the CSAM or the features of the child sexual abuse material, and that's against human rights and again the UN Charter, and also it's a feature of the an after effect of the misuse of technology. But here you can also bring the how it becomes a human right violation. That part you can properly add, like the this child sexual abuse material. It's basically a digital evidence or digital tool. So it will lead to the perpetual victimization of the child victim, that is a victim of the sexual abuse. So it's a very grave human right violation at that sense, as well as so it will lead to public shaming, as well as psychological creating too much psychological trauma for the child. So such issues, in that sense, we can say that it's a grave violation of human rights. Okay, so that's the first part. Then the core part, that is as we discussed, it's the second part, the reasons for increase in the crime. What are the reasons for increase in the crime of increase in the proliferation of CSAM? That is the use of internet and media and other psychological problems, etc., had been rightly pointed out by the Archit. Because what is the very first thing regarding the reason, very major reason for this proliferation? What is that? That is the penetration, increased penetration of the social media as well as the internet, basically the internet and the use of social media, etc. And also the anonymity provided by certain platforms. That's also a crucial thing. That's recently you can recall the arrest of the Telegram CEO regarding the spread of pornographic material via Telegram. So it gives ample opportunities for these perpetrators to become anonymous. That is also you can bring here. And the dark web as well as the deep web, all those things are the tools. You have to mention some the tools that are helping them. So anonymous browsers also helping them. So like that you can mention those examples that will directly relate your answer to the question. And the psychological problems like the pedophiles, they often have the psychological issues and they are more attracted towards the children, and that is a major issue. That's a psychological problem here. So the term pedophile, etc., you can bring. Okay. Then other technological tools or that helping to increase the proliferation of the CSAM, that is the access of hackers hacking the CCTV footage. That is in the public space more videos are being generated, and maybe in the private space also these videos are being generated, and these are hacked and sold to the online by the hackers. So that things you can. And the other thing is the cryptocurrency. That is the cryptocurrency here. You can say that that's the illicit or the illegal trading are often of selling of this CSAM, the material are being carried out through cryptocurrency. So it is very difficult for the law enforcement agencies to find out the exact perpetrators behind that. So that is a thing. Then less attention to children. That is a sociological problem. That is the increase in nuclear families. That is a major thing, because in a old single large families, so there are grandmothers and grandparents to look after the children. But with the advent of these nuclear families, the parents have very less time, especially due to their workloads as well as the urbanized nature. They have very less time to spend with the children. So like that, those points have been rightly pointed out by the Archit. Then so such sociological factors have been pointed out here. Then also you can bring the other legal aspects also. You can divide this answer into the legal perspectives, economic perspectives, social perspectives, etc., technological perspectives. The legal perspective, there is the trans-jurisdictional nature of these crimes, because the perpetrators of this crime or the creators and the proliferators of this CSAM are often located outside the jurisdiction of the country, and it is very difficult for the law enforcement agencies to track down them. So that is a major thing in that. So such points you can bring here also. Then after giving the reasons for the proliferation of the CSAM, so we can move on to the third stage, that is what are the mechanisms, various mechanisms here. And here this here you have to bring the major mechanisms, that is the legislative mechanisms. Obviously we have certain legislative mechanisms here are there, ample mechanisms are there, and the social media intermediaries code was there, and the IT Act you can mention here. Okay, so and if you are aware of the particular sections in the IT Act, you can mention that too. So that will give more authenticity to your answers. Okay, nowadays aspirants are mentioning such sections also, especially for the crucial acts. That's all. You cannot recall all those sections in the site, and that is not needed here. Okay, you just need to have only on certain more core important acts and especially the protection mechanisms, specific mechanisms that you can mention. Here the IT rules as well as the social intermediaries codes have been mentioned, and it's a digital crime, so the cyber security agencies, CERT-IN, etc. have been mentioned. Yeah. Then another one is this Operation Meghadoot, that is the it's against child pornography. So there are many state-specific interventions. For example, Operation P Hunt by the Kerala State Police, that is a major one, that is to track down the child or the pedophiles or the child pornography in the net. So such such measures you can mention here. So then, so such crimes are already we have discussed. They have a jurisdiction. They have a transnational nature. So there is a need for global collaboration in that, and so such things you have to mention here. That is a Budapest Convention on the Cybercrime. That you can such global measures you can bring here. And other robust tracking networks, then the other awareness and training level, because most these CSAM are being produced with the from where children are more quite often visit, that the schools, etc. So there is a need to generate awareness and training of children in schools and institutions via seminars, etc. And there is a need for accelerated campaigns and drives. So such things you can bring here. And here another major thing, that is that we often hear these terms, that the differentiating between good touch and bad touch. This is a very good point here. That is the teaching the children about what is good touch and what is bad touch. So such measures are also crucial, and Archit had rightly pointed out those things. Then the sensitization of the law enforcement agencies, including and the teachers and the police, etc. And so such things are necessary. That is to also to ensure the privacy of the child who is a victim. So the mechanisms we have ample mechanisms, and those mechanisms need to be sensitized, or it should have a idea that it should respect the privacy of the victim, that is the children. Okay, such things have to be kept in mind, and that's a correct point here. And hence we can say that he was able to bring the major points in the prioritized manner here. So after this, you may think, if you think in nowadays you can bring some more points also to this answer, but at that time this is sufficient, because at that time you may not be able to recollect all those things, but at the time the major core content should be bring to there. So here, and he had concluded with the children are the our future and the demographic dividend, and we must protect them. Okay, so you can bring some other conclusion also relevant to the theme. Okay, so while going through this toppers answers, you may not be able to you are not supposed to recollect or to represent their same ideas, but to get a cue from those ideas and to present it in your own way. That is the thing. You have to study from these answers, but this is a guide for all you to prepare how to present the answers, so the way we have discussed, that he has a proper eligible way. The examiner will we find it very easy to identify the points rightly from his answer. So that is a very important point, and while writing answers you should also keep that in mind. Okay, anyway, so this is a video on social justice, and we have uploaded other videos in our website too. So make sure that you will go through all those videos so that it will help and aid in your preparation. Okay, so we will winding up this session, and we are hopeful that you will find it very useful, this session. Okay, so thank you for your time.